is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Hump
Hump
Day Hotline.
day.
You got me, Hump Day Hotline, Hump Day on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network.
I need that
It's so
track.
good. His snare, Rich's snare in that track just sounds so. It's like the punch is super good. But you are listening or tuned into the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. I am one of the hosts of this show. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, and that over there is.
Your boy Jay Spence the King. You can find me at Jay Spence the King on every platform.
Yep, and we are matchy tonight.
Yeah, look at you, Wildest Dreams Land. There you go. And this was a time when it was Wildest Dreams Land for me with the city of Buffalo having an NBA team.
Yep.
Wildest, we are matching all the way around.
Yep, very good. But Jay Spence, it's been what was the last time we did a show? Was it the draft? It was around the draft, wasn't it?
Believe it was just after the draft.
Just after the draft. How have you been?
Mhm.
How have things been treating you? Are you ready for some football?
I am more than ready for football. I'm so tired of watching the 2022 season and the 21 season. I just kind of finished watching the other day. I actually was watching other teams' schedules now. So, like, that tells you where I'm at. Like,
Yeah.
I'm watching the Viking season because I just like Justin Jefferson. So I'm watching their season.
So you're watching other team seasons at this point.
Yeah, it's
You
bad.
are you are all in.
Yeah, I'm down bad, man. I'm down bad. It's like that meme when he's like, "You got any more of that? Give me some more of that football. I need more football."
I've watched several games a couple times. There's a couple, and I can't think of them off the top of my head that I have not watched. I think I have not watched the Jets loss. I have not watched the Miami the Cincinnati playoff loss. I have not watched either of those two games back. So all the other ones I've watched. So
The
you've gone
Cincinnati
through all of them?
game, yeah, I've watched the Cincinnati game like 4 times.
4 times.
Yeah, I watched it 4 times, and the score was bad. And they, obviously those of us who were there or who watched it, we remember what it was. We saw it. But when you look at it and you go through everything, it's not as bad. It's still bad, but it's not as bad as I probably first thought. RJ asked me, he says, Spence, after a rewatch, how insanely lucky were the Vikings last year? I tell you what, very lucky. I mean, and for the entire season, a lot of games that they won, they came back from behind to win, and they won like on a last minute field goal or a last minute type situation where the other team gave the ball up, or it was insane. Specifically the Bills game, you just think about that, and injuries really hurt us, because you think about if Micah Hyde was there for that play instead of Cam Lewis, we would have won that game. Or it's, again, speaking about injuries, I think if Tremaine wasn't injured, we would have won that game. There's so many different things that we can talk about, but no, I extremely lucky. But Justin Jefferson, he's him.
Yeah, that dude can play some football. And you know who else is him? Is Stephon Diggs. That dude is the real deal. Were you following any of the what was it? The reception perception stuff that was going on when like Stephon Diggs has better than 86% win rate on every route that there is possible. Every route he runs, he's better than 86%. Like, just kind of cementing and proving even more. It's funny because when you go back to that trade, and I know this is not something we were planning on talking about, which is something you and I do all the time. And it's always the conversation of who got the better deal. And I don't know that we'll necessarily ever really know until both of their careers are over. But Stephon Diggs has been electric for this football team. He's been amazing for the development of Josh Allen. It was from the moment you saw him on the football field in a real game, you're like, that's what a wide receiver one looks like, because we had been starved for one for so long. Justin Jefferson is a tremendous player, immediate impact, as was Diggs. Diggs had some injury issues early in his career. In his first season, he didn't play as much. But when you look at them, they're different players, but they're both so dominating. It's going to be interesting just to see how both of their careers play out. And we don't have to remain on this topic. It's just it'll always be intriguing to me, this conversation.
I think it depends on what you value at this point. Like, because it's splitting hairs. So for me right now, today, if I was to start a team and you tell me, okay, you can pick one wide receiver out of the NFL as your wide receiver one, I'm probably going to go Justin Jefferson at this point. And that is just based on everything that I see. Diggs is an incredible if not the best route runner, he's a top 3 route runner in the
Mm-hmm.
league. Catches almost everything that comes his way. He's a great teammate, as we saw with the DeMar Hamlin charity softball
Yep.
tournament.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
so, I mean, like, there's when I say that, I'm not taking anything away from Diggs. I just think that Justin Jefferson is like, to me, the reincarnation of Randy Moss, and I don't think many
Yeah.
people see that yet. But those that really watch him, I'm telling you, he's different, man. He's different.
Well, Moss got known for all the deep routes. Him and Dante Culpepper chucking the ball 70 yards down the field, right? And the reality was, is Moss could run all that underneath stuff as well, but we knew him just because of the deep stuff. And then when he got to the Patriots, Tom Brady did wildly the same thing to him. Just started chucking the
Mm-hmm.
ball over everybody's head. Hey, Randy, go get it. And Randy could. Not that Justin Jefferson can't, but I think Randy probably had him a little bit in foot speed. But overall, that's not a bad comp. You're probably right. And
Oh yeah,
the
no,
reality
Randy's
is,
better.
yeah,
Randy's better.
it'll be interesting to see how both their careers play out. But let's just talk about some recent NFL news. So welcome everybody into the show. Those of you that are joining us live, thank you so much. It's good to see all of you. I am currently on location at Lime Lake in New York. My family is not here at the moment, so Jay Spence and I we've got the cottage and the lake all to ourselves. Me and you, buddy. But it is good
I'm
to
not
be here.
there. I'm not there. Is all I'm saying.
Don't spoil it. What are you spoiling it for?
I'm just saying I would like to be on the lake right now. I am not. Joe didn't invite me today. Okay.
Well, if you make it here before August 5th, you are invited. So absolutely 100% invited. But so Saquon Barkley is in the news right now, and I have been a bring me Saquon Barkley guy
Mm-hmm.
since last year. And even with all the conversation of, Quan is washed up, Quan is cooked, Quan is done, like that, he's injury prone, he's made of glass, and the boy gets healthy, right? And then he shows up last year and he does his thing. And now he wants to get paid, right? As any good player does. And it's going to go back to that conversation that has always had, which is, what is a running back worth, and are they worth paying the money to? We just saw Dalvin Cook, right? Dalvin
Mm-hmm.
Cook just got cut for a very similar reason. Cut. They weren't even like, hey, we're going to keep you around until next year. They were just like, man, you can go.
Peace.
They don't even. Do they have anybody behind him that's Dalvin Cook good enough? Like as good as Dalvin? I don't think so, right?
I think they believe in Madison. I don't know if Madison is going to be,
He's not Dalvin Cook.
yeah.
Let's just put that to bed. So Saquon Barkley is threatening to hold out until he gets a real contract and doesn't have to play on a franchise tag. Which brings up two things. Number one, I understand the injury piece, and you always side with the players well. Not that I don't side with them at all, or I don't side with them well. You just always have a very good take as it pertains to what the players might be thinking, how they might be feeling. I understand when you're on a franchise tag, it's not necessarily guaranteed money. If you get hurt and your career is over, like you miss that signing bonus and all that kind of stuff. But when you're talking about playing for some of the dollars that these guys are, like, Tremaine, if he'd have hypothetically been franchised by the Bills, would have been what, $18 million more than he's getting paid for on an annual basis with the Bears. So there's two parts to that, which is like, would it really be that bad to play for that much money? Even if he does for a couple years in a row, like Lamar did, but then there's all the conversation about how much money, quote unquote, Lamar lost. But at the end of the day, is this something they can get done? I mean, are they gonna put 30, 40, $45 million in a running back in the Giants? And what does it mean for Dable?
I think so. So the first part of your question, to answer it, I think, like, for Saquon, it's, if we were talking about Devin Singletary here, I think the conversation is different. But I think for the New York Football Giants, I think what Saquon Barkley does, Saquon Barkley for the Giants is what Josh Allen is for the Bills.
Yes.
So it's not just that you're talking about paying a top running back. You're talking about paying 80% of your offense, because you don't, with respect to my man Isaiah Hodgins over there now, you don't have stud receivers. You don't have, okay, you traded for Darren Waller, so you got a good tight end, but he's been injured out in Vegas. So we don't even know if he's going to give you a full season. Saquon last year, and Saquon when he's healthy, is giving you everything. So from that standpoint, to me, it's like saying, well, no, let's franchise tag Josh and not pay Josh and keep him around. Again, running back is different. It's a little bit different, but he's 80% of the offense. I would absolutely look. Let's take care of Saquon. They took care of freaking. Are you kidding me? You took Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
Come on, man.
Isn't he making more than Josh right now on a per year basis?
Maybe close to. I think it's like 40 a year, but still, like it's not. Come on, man. Just
Daniel
no.
Jones. Hey, Daniel. We know we got to get you done. We really like you. We want to keep you around. We know your agent and like the market might be saying 40, but we want to pay you 30 and give Quan 10 of your money. Is that
Easy,
okay? Like,
easy.
right?
The
And
guy that makes your job.
right?
He makes your
And
job
Daniel
kind of easy.
and Daniel Jones should be like, let's do that.
Like how? Why would you not? And then I think about the Le'Veon Bell situation.
Yeah,
And it's very similar. Le'Veon Bell held out because he's like, no, I'm worth more than this. But then what ended up happening is he actually held himself out of his prime. Like
yes,
he probably had another year or two that he was worth the money. And then, you stay out of the game, you hold out, you don't get the reps, you're not up to speed, then you get in, then you pull a hamstring because you're not ready. And so
yeah,
I don't know. It's touchy on both sides, but I do think Saquon Barkley, if any running back right now who is up for a contract deserves to be paid, is Saquon
yeah.
Barkley.
Lev Bell out of Groveport, Ohio, Groveport High School in Groveport, Ohio, just south of Columbus, where we lived for about 10 years, is an interesting story just because the holding out piece, definitely he lost a year or so of like his prime, but he also, that's like the story of a dude that is literally not a situational player, but like he's a system player, right? It was that Steelers, as much as he was good, was patient, had vision. He has a lot of the things, and I've kind of comped James Cook a little bit to him. Not that they're the same player because they're not, but James's running style is becoming a little bit similar. It was very clear once he got to the Jets with Adam Gase, that he was very much a system player. Like whatever the Jets were going to do with him or try to do with him, it just wasn't a fit. And that's, I guess, a fear for Saquon. Is Saquon, a Barry Sanders type where you could put him behind any offensive line in any system and he's going to go nuts, or is he more of a Lev Bell? Right, we've got a certain blocking scheme. We're going to run a zone. We're going to do this, and fit you in, and you're going to be able to dominate based on what we've got up front. Whereas, when he got to the Jets, he couldn't do that. So interesting topics. Where do you go? Where do you fall? Do you feel like they're going to get it done?
I think they will.
I think they will too.
Dayball, he's no idiot. He
No.
knows he made the playoffs in his first year,
Yeah.
and they won a playoff game in their first year. He knows, look, I can't not make the playoffs this year. And if you go into the season without Saquon Barkley, you're probably not making the playoffs. So, yeah, they'll get it done for sure. They'll probably give him like a 3-year deal, or maybe 4 years with like a 3-year deal with the fourth as an option, or two. Yeah, I could even see
Maybe
like a 3-year
two.
deal with two as
Yeah.
something like that where they can get out of it after a couple of years. But no, there's no way possible that they go into the season without Saquon. Now, I'll tell you what, if he's not Saquon, just drive one down the 90 and stop before you exit New York State. Stay in New York State, and then
Yeah.
when you get to the Erie one, then you just get off. I'll give you the directions. I'll send you the directions. You go right to One Bills Drive.
There's signs. Highmark Stadium. Just follow.
Yeah, right there. Just follow the sign.
Just follow the signs. You'll be good to go. I would love to see Saquon Barkley in Buffalo. Like that would be unbelievable. Just to see it, just a machine, a man that size with that much talent, that fast, that much skill, that much ability. Like, did you see the video of him squatting whatever it was, like
Oh my
565, like it was
dude,
nothing, just up and down, up and down, up and down. Like it
dude,
might have been more than
his
that. It might have been 600 pounds, but yeah,
his leg is the size of my entire body, but muscle, and I'm fat. Like I don't understand what he's doing. His leg is the entire size of my entire core, and that's not a. He's a
that's saying
beast.
something.
Yeah.
He's a beast. Speaking of running backs and Buffalo Bills running backs, Marshawn Lynch is eligible for the Hall of Fame in 2025. And I am, and it's not a secret on this show or anyplace else, I am and always have been a huge Marshawn Lynch fan. I feel like the Bills Mafia, before we were the Mafia, ran him out of town. And I have said it on this show, and I've tweeted a million times, we ran a future Hall of Famer out of town.
Mhm.
But the question is, and the question that you wanted to discuss tonight, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? I think you've got some of his stuff: 10,413 rushing yards, 85
Mhm.
touchdowns. He played for 11 years, has a Super Bowl ring. Actually, when he
Should
went,
have to.
yeah,
He
so he
should
went
have.
from, yeah, he should have. He went from the Bills to the Hawks, obviously, and dominated there. And then he was gone for a year, I think, as well, and then came back to the Raiders, right? And didn't play horribly. So for me, when I think of Marshawn Lynch, he's absolutely going to be in the Hall of Fame. All the stuff is there, longevity, all that crap. I feel like the off the field stuff wanes more and more and more as we get older and older and older as a league, which means, 20 years ago, if somebody got caught doing something, or 30 years ago, if somebody got caught doing something, it's different than it is now, if that makes any sense. So I don't think the stuff that has happened to him, to include even recently, what was it, last year? Yeah, pulled over in, was it Vegas, in his car, and he was clearly drunk.
Yeah.
So I don't know that stuff necessarily carries the weight that it carries from a negative or deterrent factor. I think there's just something to be said about the fact that unless your name's Barry Sanders, you don't make the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. It's just not something that happens.
So you don't think he will?
No, not first ballot. No, probably third. I mean, Thurman was a second, right? Thurman was the second ballot Hall of Famer. Was it Emmett? Emmett and Barry were both first ballots, right?
Well, let me tell he has more touchdowns than Thurman had.
Yes, I know. Yep.
He has more rushing yards than Terrell Davis and Errol Campbell.
So
So
Davis has 2 Super Bowls, right? Is it 2 or 3? 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Earl Campbell played in a different era, right?
He did.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm gonna, just for the sake of, so for the record, I agree with you. I don't think he's gonna be the first ballot. I think probably second ballot. But if I'm gonna play devil's advocate, just for the sake of the show, I think that, at this point, is it third down? Third down?
It is. It's third down, and defense is on the field. We got third and 2. We got to stop them here.
I can't even put my Tremaine sign up anymore, man. I'm so sad, man. What is happening? But no, I think he's a first, like, for argument's sake, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, because I think, any team that he was on, he transformed it. It was a running team, and like I said, you look at those stats, you look at what he's accomplished. Now, the one thing I think might hurt him is the same thing that hurt Terrell. Oh, I know you mentioned media in a way shouldn't, but I think a lot of people forget, because we love him, like fans love him as a personality, and but the media was fed up with Marshawn for a long time, man. Like, he wouldn't interview. He wouldn't talk to. I mean, obviously, we remember the famous Super Bowl. I'm only here so I won't get fined.
So don't get fined.
I'm here so I won't get fined. So we remember that. But it was also, aside from that, there were several years where he just wouldn't talk to the media because he felt like they twisted his. Now we know Marshawn doesn't. He doesn't speak. He speaks how he feels, and he speaks like where he's from, and so he doesn't. He doesn't kind of conform to what, quote unquote, the normal is supposed to be, or how people tell him he should talk. So. Right. He got frustrated with how they were, basically translating what he's saying. So I think he should be a first ballot. I don't think that he will be, because of things that have nothing to do with football, which is crazy.
Wildly enough, I'm looking for his receiving stats, because one of the things that gets lost on Marshawn is how good of a pass catcher he was. And it's funny, the last couple of websites that I've gone to don't have his statistical information as it pertains to career. Let's see if this one does it. Like, NFL.com is giving me nothing. It's like I have no information on Marshawn Lynch right now.
Okay, so receiving, I got you.
Okay.
For his career, 2,214 yards.
Yeah, that's nothing
and
to
9
sneeze
touchdowns. At. No, it's not.
It's not. How many receptions?
He had 287 receptions, so he averaged just under 8 yards per reception.
He's definitely going in.
I mean, dude, for your career, you average, so even as the running back, you average 4.2 yards a carry for your career. And I know we play Madden a lot, so people feel like you got to hit that 5 as an average. 4.2 for your career is impressive. Yeah, it's super impressive.
4.2 are Hall of Fame numbers. That is a Hall of Fame average with longevity. So 4.2 is a Hall of Fame number with 11 years in the league. How many rushing attempts? It's in the thousands.
Yeah, this website here they broke it up. I have to look at it. Hold on, let me see. Keep going. I got these sites.
You're fine. That's what I said. Like I was having a hard time finding it too. It's like, why has everything changed since?
Yes, 2,000. He had 2,453 rushes for 10,413 yards.
2,500. We probably could have done that math. 2,500 attempts, and you averaged 4.2 yards per attempt. Those are Hall of
Hmm.
Fame numbers. 100%, without a doubt. You can't even argue it with a Super Bowl ring, right? I mean, 11 years in the league. He's going into the Hall of Fame. The question is just going to be when. Moving on. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, the Buffalo Bills have another. Well, continues to be eligible. Now he is eligible through what is the committee? The senior committee?
Yeah, this is trash. It's trash. I don't even like. We can talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it because I feel like it's crazy. Like Steve Tasker should have been in the Hall of Fame. Like what am I 37? This guy should have been in when I was like 20. Are you kidding me? You put Steve Tasker in the doggone Hall of Fame. Now you're gonna say years later, okay, you didn't get in. We know you should have been in. So
Right, right.
we're just gonna come on in. No, no, no. You should have voted his ass in like he was supposed to be the best special teams player of all time. Are you kidding
All
me?
time. Yeah, what's hard about that argument is it's immediately Devin Hester. It's immediately like certain guys that come up, and it's like he
Mm-mm.
played a different position. He
He
played special
Devin
teams.
Hester.
Go ahead.
Good. No, I'm sorry. I was already mad, so I was going. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're totally fine. This is a conversation. That's what's awesome about it. But it's like they play a different position. It's like saying that like hypothetically speaking, Mike Singletary isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, but he can't go in until Refrigerator Perry goes in. It's like they play different positions. They do different things. What are you talking about? Like Steve Tasker was not a returner. Devin Hester was not a tackler. Like he wasn't a disruptor. What Steve Tasker did in the NFL as a special teamer, nobody has ever even come close to being like. Like we have seen other amazingly dominant like returners. Granted, not for the longevity that Devin Hester did, but we've seen guys that have been for 2, 3. Andre Roberts. We've seen guys for 2, 3, 4 years be amazing in this league, returning the football, whether it's on kicks or punts. We've not seen anybody do what Steve Tasker did for as long as Steve Tasker did it. There's been
Yeah.
nobody. There's no comp. There is no comp to Steve Tasker.
Zero. Zero. You have like you said it perfectly. You want to talk about Devin Hester? Okay, he broke Deion Sanders' record. We could talk about Deion Sanders. We could talk about you mentioned Andre Roberts. We could talk about there's a list of guys that we can name. Well, who was the
There's
short guy that
there's
used to
Buffalo
play
there's
for
there's Buffalo Bills guys. Terrence McGee was great. Roscoe Parrish was great. I mean, there
Dante
was
Hall in the comments? Like
Dante
we can
Hall.
go through a
Dante
list
Hall.
of people. Like
Yep.
there's like probably 8 or 9 guys that you would be like, man, as a kick or a punt returner, he was that guy. You name 3 people who have done anything close to what Steve Tasker has done on special teams. Come on, man.
For as long as he's done it.
Come on, man.
Like yeah, and it's unbelievable to even that we're even having this conversation. It's almost. I mean, there's a freaking punter in the Hall of Fame, right? I mean, it's just at some
Yo,
point he's got to go in.
back when the Pro Bowl was the actual game, he won MVP. Like I'm not
Yeah,
talking about this. I'm not even talking about the stuff that we're doing now. Like guys used to play hard in the Pro Bowl. They used to
yeah,
hit each other for real. Does everybody remember our punter Brian Morin being smacked and completely destroyed
yeah,
in the Pro Bowl?
yep,
Like
yep,
like the Pro Bowl was a game.
yep.
He got MVP for special.
In that game, yeah, for sure. And then there's always the conversation, especially when it comes to the Devin Hester comparison. It's like, well, Devin Hester also played wide receiver. So did Steve Tasker. So I mean, Steve Tasker just didn't play wide receiver because of the guys that were in front of him. So he only played when they needed him, and when they did, nobody could catch him. Nobody could cover him. He'd catch touchdowns like he was
It's
all over the
insane,
football
man.
field. Yeah,
It's insane.
it's absolutely nuts. So go ahead.
I want to shout this out real quick because I actually did read something about this earlier. The Bills Babes Beat Disabilities event is happening August 6th. And that's going to be right next to the stadium. It's going to be fun. Go to the website billsfanthunder.com. There's a lot of information that you can find about this, but I did want to shout this out very, very briefly.
Awesome,
And
very
one
good.
more thing to shout out. You know what? It's a week of shout outs. If I don't even think it's in here. So the graphic for it isn't in here, but Bills Mafia, we all know our little guy Eddie, and he
Yep.
passed away last week on us, and we want to be a blessing to his family. So I don't have the graphic in here, but if you go, I'll post it on Twitter. If you go and find me on Twitter, or if you go back and watch Code of Conduct last night, I posted there a few times, and I think Sarah and Jerry are probably going to post it on their show coming up here next. So yeah, let's show some love to my man EJ's family. They're going to need it.
Gotcha. Perfect. That's super good. Moving off of Steve Tasker, who absolutely 1000% belongs in the Hall of Fame. We all want to see it. The world needs to see it. And the world also wants to see and needs to see the Jets on Hard Knocks once again. Is there more of a compelling story than the Jets on Hard Knocks right now? Just the conversations of with Aaron Rodgers, right, and Zach Wilson. And like if they can figure out a way to do like the whole confessional thing with Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers and even have a like just to see, they're going to paint it in a good light. But man, I need that. I need some of that television.
You know what? I don't think there's another team that I would want to watch. Like, and that's me being a
Maybe
Bills
the
fan. Like,
Lions,
I don't.
maybe the Lions, maybe.
Well, the Lions because they're entertaining, but we got to see them last year,
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, I just saw them. You talk about now. If I'm personally, maybe Chicago because I want to see Tremaine.
Jermaine, yep.
And I think that they made some good moves. I think they brought in some good receivers. They did a lot this offseason. If you haven't paid attention to Chicago, you might want to look them up. Look them up before your draft, before your fantasy drafts. Look up the Bears players because I think you're going to be impressed. But no, other than me being selfish saying I want to see Tremaine, I don't think there's another team I want to. Are you kidding me? Maybe the Patriots, just because I think it would be funny to watch Bill Belichick like rumble and ramble for weeks. But man, come on.
But Bill Belichick would be funny just because I think he's closing in on becoming like the all-time losses leader. He's about to like hold the record for most losses in the NFL for head coach, and he is no longer even close to threatening the wins record. So it's like that. I think it's gone the complete opposite direction. Yeah, they would be an interesting conversation, an interesting story to watch. But man, it's compelling to me. And even if they do end up getting, lucking out and getting a guy like Dalvin Cook, who's rumored to potentially go there, I don't know. I heard that on the radio the other day that like Dalvin Cook is like potentially like one of his landing spots is the Jets. I'm like, how are they going to use him? Brees Hall. Who's the other guy that they got over there? They've got another running back over there that's escaping me at the moment.
Well, Brees is still not 100% from the ACL. I know that
they're
saying that
he's going to be. He's going to be at some point this year.
At some point this year, but he still probably won't be 100. How many running backs that had an ACL, like other than Adrian Peterson, like how many running backs came back from an ACL tear like that first year and was themselves?
We were talking about Saquon Barkley. He would be that conversation that you're talking about. Like he had ACL injury in his first, 6 games were not Saquon Barkley like, and that was everybody. That's when everybody was like, "Oh, he's done," and it's like that dude is not done. So yeah,
I mean, I was on that. I was on that team. I said he was done. I didn't want him in Buffalo because of that. I didn't trust it. But no, I'll take him now. Saquon again, drive down the 90 and just follow the signs to the stadium. Just follow the signs. I'll have Brandon Bean waiting for you. I'll let him know.
That's so funny. Yeah, but I would love to see. That's got to be must-see TV. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, that's the compelling reason, right? I mean, when you're talking about teams, what other teams would there be? So the Patriots, not that we would want to see, but compelling stories. So I know it's always like one of the bottom feeders. Maybe the Browns would be a compelling story just because of all the smoke that's still on, that's going around that team.
Deshaun Watson, yeah.
What the Texans,
I'm saying because of Deshaun Watson being there,
right?
Like I still think
Deshaun,
the Texans, I think would be a good one. I think
the Titans with the story that Malik Willis might not have a roster spot this year is a potential.
That is insane. Is that not insane to you?
That's insane to me. Yes, absolutely insane to me. 3rd round pick, is that right? 3rd round pick.
Yeah, he was projected by some people to be a 1st round pick back then.
That's right. Yep. Slid to the 3rd, and definitely did not look like he was ready for football when he got in the games. It was way too early for him to be in. But so what other compelling stories could there be, though? I mean, if
real
we go
quick
through
on that, I still think that they didn't give him time, and I also think you don't put him in a system meant for Tannehill. Like he's a completely different player. But again, this ain't a Tennessee show, so let's move on. Maybe the Dolphins.
But they don't go with winning teams. They always go with losing teams, losing programs.
I mean, true. But I mean, like at this point, if we're talking about compelling stories,
they did the Colts mid-year last year. I think I watched one episode. It wasn't compelling at all.
It was compelling to me just because I was annoyed. But like I like, you know who might be a good one. First, let me finish the Miami one. I know they go with winners for the most part, but I think that would still be a good story for multiple reasons. Like Tua's health and like all this extra stuff he's doing off the field, I think comes into play. I think their coach is polarizing. I think people love him.
Yeah.
And if you don't love him, then you hate. But I mean, I think he's just polarizing. I think Tyreek Hill is always polarizing, whether you love him or hate him for whatever reason. they got good Ramsey there now. I
Yeah,
don't know,
good. Yeah, and I'll be
but
honest with you. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was going to say the next team.
Oh well, I'm just to finish with the Dolphins. I need to see a Dolphins Hard Knocks just so we can get a shot of Tua without a shirt on to find out if he's really fat or did he actually bulk up because he looks
Like,
fat
what
to me.
is this? Yeah, like
Yeah,
what are you? Are you? Did you get it together or not? I don't know. You
right.
can't tell. You can't tell. But no, I think Denver would make a good Hard Knocks team.
Yeah, that would
Brand
be
new
a
head
great
coach.
story. Russell
Yeah,
Wilson,
I mean,
Cortland Sutton,
are you
yeah,
kidding me?
Jerry
I look at
Judy, yeah,
Sierra
for
every
sure.
week. I'd take
Yeah,
a Sierra cameo every week.
yeah, for sure. That actually would be very compelling. That'd be a great. It's weird that they haven't figured out a way to do a dual one yet, right? So to do where like they do two teams. But that would be super compelling. The Broncos would be a good story. I agree.
Hmm.
Just to see Sean Payton come in and see if he can fix that Nathaniel Haskett debacle, who is, by the way, in New York City with the Jets.
Which is, again, I think it's crazy. I don't think the Jets are as stacked. I mean, I get it. You got Aaron Rodgers now. You're excited. You felt like you had one of the best defenses in the league, so you're a quarterback away. But you let Green Bay fans tell you Aaron Rodgers' thumb was messed up, so that was the problem. But I looked at Aaron Rodgers play last season, and he wasn't even good enough to beat the Lions in Week 18. So I just don't know
Yeah,
if, and
yeah.
not that the Lions were bad. The Lions were a good team, but I mean, for his career, he typically dominated the Lions.
Yeah, yeah.
I just
What's
don't
it,
see it.
what's interesting about the thumb conversation is I would be the first person to tell you that the Bill season last year looks different if Allen doesn't hurt his elbow. To
Absolutely.
include the Vikings game, to me that pass was short. Like Peterson didn't do anything but catch the football. He didn't like run a better route or run the
Mhm.
route for the receiver like he claims he did.
Yeah.
Allen threw the ball 5 yards behind Gabe Davis, and it was because of that stupid elbow thing. If he didn't have that, that's a touchdown all day long, and who knows, it might not even come down to that play. The problem with me with that conversation is the Buffalo Bills season ends the exact same way in Cincinnati. There was other things going off the rails that had nothing to do necessarily with Josh's elbow by that point of the season, in my opinion. Like I just don't know that the season ends differently, but I think the season goes differently, right? Does that make sense for the Bills? So maybe the thumb is a
Well,
conversation.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I think the season ends differently because I think we actually would have got the number one seed. I don't think we lose that Vikings game. If we
Yeah.
don't lose that Vikings game, we have the same record as the Chiefs, and we had the tiebreaker because we beat them in Kansas City. So we
Yeah.
would have had the number. Obviously we still had to play Cincinnati, but I don't know. I see things being. I think it would have gone a little bit differently had Josh not been injured.
Did you see, bringing up a topic we didn't talk about, did you see Mahomes' comments that he would rather play the Bills because he feels like he matches up better against Buffalo,
I
and he
actually
thinks
did
that
send that to you.
since,
Yeah,
oh, you sent that to me. That's right.
yeah.
And that Cincinnati, he feels like Cincinnati's a better team or harder to, I guess, a worse matchup, right? Is what that means.
Well, he said the Bills were a better matchup for him, but they wanted the Bengals, and it felt like it felt like they just hate the Bengals, kind of like everybody does. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
no, we want to kick their ass. But no, I did find that interesting that he said, oh no, we match up better with the Bills.
yeah, yeah.
I don't
Crazy.
know.
Crazy. Last thing we're going to talk about on this show, we're going to get everybody out of here early. And by the way, we will be back hopefully next week and then all the way through the season. This year, my schedule is going to be a little bit jabberwonky, so we're going to maybe mess with the lineup a little bit and bring you guys some guests here and there. But I'll be traveling. So my new job, just so everybody knows, I travel a couple times a month and sometimes a little bit more. Generally in the middle of the week, and it just makes it really, really difficult for me to be back in the hotel room by 8 o'clock, Wi-Fi dependent and all that kind of stuff. So, but we will be from here on out, hopefully all the way through the season, taking you through. Humpty Hotline is back at this point, and then Fina Show will be back in August, as well as the Overreaction Sports Show will be back in August. But last thing that we're going to talk about for this episode is funny, and I can't believe it hasn't gotten more legs. But what do you know about Milk Check?
Milk check,
What do you know about Milk Check?
milk
Spence?
check. You know what? When I tell you, when Josh said it, man, I honestly, I probably watched that video probably 30 times, and I
I
probably
want, yeah,
laughed for an hour because it's the funniest thing. Like to hear Josh Allen say that. So for those of you who don't know what we're referring to, Josh Allen was on what was it, Busting It with the Boys
busting it with
podcast,
the boys. Yeah.
and they basically were asking him about certain things, and he's like, "Yeah, when if we're out there, I'll tell Steph milk check." And what he meant by that is if there's like a white defensive back, or if a linebacker that's white is in coverage, it's like, okay, we gonna cook this boy. Milk check, let's go. And it was just like I wasn't ready for it, Joe. Like when I tell you I laughed so hard, it was like, but when you think about it, we don't. There aren't many. Are there? How many white defensive backs are there in the
Well,
NFL right now?
well, I mean, there was the one that was on the Chiefs. That what is he on the Ravens now? Is that right? There's a couple out there. There's not a whole lot. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't even know. It felt what's funny. What was funny to me is Allen felt or looked. He got uncomfortable when they started digging into it. Like I feel like Milkcheck came out of his mouth and he was like, "Oh
Oh
shit!"
crap!
It's
I
like and
shouldn't have
was like,
said it.
"How do I pull that back in?"
Like, bring it back, bring it back.
Right, and then it was one of those, and for a thousand reasons, which is none of which are less than it's Josh Allen, and if he says the wrong thing, it's gonna get legs, right? So as
Yeah.
he's trying to explain it, he's trying to be subtle and dance around the fact that it's a racial comment, right? I mean, that's 100% what it is. But yeah, it was priceless. It was great. It was a fun moment. I laughed. I watched it a bunch of times too, and that's. Are they going to come up with what else could they say now? Ice cream check? Like, what's the next one? Like,
I don't know. I
how
don't
do you
know.
cover it? Obviously, if he yells that out to the sideline at this
Now
point,
everybody's gonna know. Yeah.
oh, he's talking about me.
Did you watch the entire interview though?
I have not watched the whole interview yet, just the snippets that have come out.
So if anybody is interested in that stuff, I tell you to listen to Josh talk. Obviously, is always enjoyable for me, but
Yeah, yeah.
but this was a really good interview, and I feel like we have them a lot, because what did come out of this interview, obviously, the story picked back up when about the dig stuff with him not being at practice. Now it was because he recorded the show earlier, so the show was pre-recorded and then they released it, and so it felt like Josh was saying like, yeah, man, I'm tired of the media,
Hmm.
weeks later. That's not how it was. So I don't always take up for my quarterback, but I'm gonna take up for him this time, because a lot of people were saying like, are you kidding me, Josh? Of course we're gonna talk about it. You just brought it back up.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
He talked about it when it first happened. They chose not to release it. So when they finally did release it, it felt like he was kind of harping on it. But no, I just, you know what? I think this is the best team aside from talent too. I think this is the best team that we've had in a while as far as um personality overall, top to bottom too.
I
I know
agree.
we had Lil Dirty, but I mean, like now, man, like everybody, I just feel like even the guys that don't talk to the media too much, when they do, it's always like a funny sound bite now. Like we just have good
Yeah.
guys, good personalities, and with us doing what we do now, I think it's a great time for us to do it, because the guys that we have just make it so much easier and better for us to do our jobs.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. It's fun to see a team that isn't necessarily relying on one personality or like one person is like the quote unquote face of the franchise. And we always liken it back to, but it has a very similar feel to that '90s Bills team where there were so many different stars and so many different personalities on that team. They all could carry their own weight, and then it's funny too because we have now discovered that there's guys on that team that were relatively quiet, John Fina, Jerry Ostrowski, that are big personalities, right? That like weren't
Hmm.
necessarily in the limelight or in the spotlight at all. So which is really really fun. But Jay Spence, that's all we've got for the wonderful fans and listeners of this show. What do you got otherwise for closing comments? Anything good?
No, just we're gonna give you a 20-minute break to go and grab some water or some I don't know, some popcorn or something. Come
Birthday
back
boy.
and kick it back with us with the birthday boy, the Big O and Sarah for Line the Gang. That's gonna be dope. And then just keep up with us all week. We got some good stuff coming at Buffalo Rumblings. So let's get it. And Joe, take us home, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. With myself, Joe Miller. I'm the voice of the Overreaction postgame show, which is going to be coming back relatively soon, accompanied with my great friend, one of my best friends in the whole world, Jay Spence the King, who is the host of the Code of Conduct on Tuesdays, as well as the Chop Up. What else you doing? You do anything else besides that? Nope, those are the three, right? These three. Oh no, you do some
I mean, I
good
got a
stuff.
lot, but it's okay.
Talk about the SB Nation. I mean, have you talked about the SB Nation stuff? I mean, you probably have, haven't
Well,
you?
not yet, because it hasn't officially
Oh,
been. No, it's okay. You're good. You're good. I mean, it's close. It's close, but no, some big things are coming for me. I got some you know God been smiling on me a little bit. So
That's awesome.
we're gonna walk into the season on some new stuff. But yeah,
Awesome. Excited. Can't wait. Can't wait for that. But thank you guys, everybody, for hanging out with us for a couple of minutes. We'll see you guys same bat time, same bat channel next week, 8 o'clock Wednesday for the Hump Day Hotline. As we work our way through July and head towards training camp. But for myself, for Jay Spence the King, go Bills.
go Bills.